Hi folks, welcome back to the shop here at Project Pine Hills. Today we're talking about this Loopgear Loopdot flashlight. Now this is brand new. Loopgear sent this to me. I'll have a link in the video description so you can check it out. All right, this flashlight was a Kickstarter project. I received this several months ago. If you look at this light, you can see it's got sort of a smartphone or iPhone look to it. That's what I noticed when I first received it. It's got this dial here on the front. But you'll notice when you first press this button, it turns on that pixel LED display. And then when you press it again, it turns on the flashlight. And of course, there's not much to this light, so you can't tail stand this light. There's no way to mount it, but it did come with this silicone case, much like a smartphone. You can drop this light in the bottom, push it in, and now it has a case on it. It had this lanyard already wired up on the case, and it just sort of naturally fits in your hand. I liked it a lot better. It has a very nice feel to it. It feels like it's a very quality product, right? The case itself, silicone, feels good. And the case gave the light a couple of benefits. It's got these 2 feet on the bottom, so you can stand the light up, so now you can tail stand it. And the case is magnetic, so you could attach the light magnetically. And I thought, well, that's an improvement. And I really liked the light a lot better at that point. And I thought, boy, it'd be a lot better if they had a clip. Well, Loopgear updated this light, and they came out with the new Loopdot. And it has a magnetic clip case. So now you can mount this light magnetically, or you can mount this light with the clip. I can mount it right here on this bag. And of course, like that original case, you can tail stand it. So now there's 3 ways you can mount this light. So this light became a lot more useful to me. And the biggest thing they did was when you press this button, the light turns on. You get a quick battery indicator there on that pixel LED display. And then if I tap and hold this, it'll turn on the floodlight. It's got a great floodlight. And if I turn this dial on the front, it's got this wheel on the front you could spin, it makes it brighter. And when you turn it, it has kind of a haptic sensor in it. So it vibrates once you get to the highest or the lowest setting. Now I noticed that that vibration was different from the original light. The original, it had it the entire time you ran this light. So if you turn the original light on, press it again to turn on the light. If you listen there, you can probably hear the vibration that this makes, a lot like a smartphone or some modern laptops. It's got sort of a haptic sensor in it. On this flashlight, it makes that vibration every time you turn the wheel on the original one, okay? On the updated one, it only does it at the maximum setting and the lowest setting. It only does it briefly. So there's a short vibration you can hear, like I'll dial this light up and I'll turn it down, and it just briefly vibrates and then it stops, even though you keep turning it down. So anyway, it's got that haptic feedback that it gives you when you're using this light. But the light couldn't be simpler. If you just want to use this light, you press the button, it has memory, it goes back to the floodlight that I had it on last. If I turn it up, so I can get a brighter floodlight. If I want to change to the spotlight, I just press and hold the button. It kicks over to the spotlight, same brightness level. I can turn that up, get a pretty good spotlight on here. It outputs 400 lumens. Okay, press and hold, it goes back to that floodlight. And if I tap it again, it goes off. So the basic modes and functions of this flashlight are simple. You press a button, it turns on, which is what I wanted to see originally. And then press and hold, you go to the spotlight, press it again, it turns off. Now if you want strobe, you just triple tap. And if you want to go into turbo, you just double tap, but the flashlight's off or on. So if I turn this light on, right, and I double tap while it's on, go straight to turbo. So the basic functions of this Loopdot light work like any good flashlight. Now this Loopdot light has a motion sensor in it, and one of the interesting things it can do is you can shake it to go from flood to spotlight. If you watch here, I can go from floodlight to spotlight just by shaking this light. So you see right now we're on floodlight, now we're on spotlight, now we're on floodlight. So you can change between spotlight and floodlight just by shaking this light. Or you can just press and hold the button. And I will say there has been times I'm using this where I did prefer just to shake it real quick. Most of the time if I'm using this flashlight, I'm going to press the button, want that floodlight, turn it up to different brightness modes, and I want to be able to turn it off. And when I press it, it comes back on to that same mode. It has memory. That's what I'm going to be using this flashlight for most of the time. That's the first test of any flashlight. And they didn't have that in the first version, but they do in this one. So if you're looking for just a simple flashlight, it does that. It gives you that, right? And I can go over that spotlight just by holding the button. Once I get the spotlight, same brightness level it had on flood, and I can just simply press it and turn that off. Always come back to the spotlight. So its basic features are there if you're looking just to use this as a flashlight. That's all you really need to know about it. And I do like it for that purpose. All right, we're gonna get some quick beam shots. I'm gonna turn this light on, floodlight. I'm gonna steadily turn it up here. All right, that's the highest setting there on the area light. And I'm gonna double tap here so you can see turbo. All right, and now I'm going to come back off turbo. I'm gonna go over to the spotlight. You can see that casts a much wider light that goes a lot farther. I'm going to turn this, let's turn it all the way down. Okay, I'm going to turn it back up. This is fully turned all the way up on the dial. But now, you can see it kind of hits those trees out there, but now I'm going to put it on turbo. Double tap for turbo. And there you can see that turbo puts the light out there and lets it hit the trees. So it's a pretty good throw for a clip light. It does have this pixel display, and the way it works now to get into that display on this new version is you tap 4 times on this button it has right here on the top. After 4 taps, you see the pixel LED display comes on, and I can switch this between different options. These are 2 different light options here. That's the spot and floodlight represented in one icon. Now this is that games menu. You can tap it and go down in here, and there's several options. If I switch through here, you see all these different game options. This one is actually light effects. It's not a game, so it's almost like drilling down to another menu. So when I tap this, it goes into several different light effects. If I pick those light effects, you'll see them on there. There's one of them. If I tap it again, changes the colors. I think of that same effect. Double tap, it goes back up in the menu, right? And I can switch to other options. Like there's a lighter. I could tap that. It looks like a lighter. Kind of like if you're at a concert, you could use this. Tap it again, it stops doing that, right? Double tap, it'll go up a menu. But anyway, if I keep switching, there's all kinds of options in here. You can play with it and check them out. So lots of light effects. There's 10 of them total. Now, if I double tap, we go back up into those light effect menu, and I can switch through here, and there's games. This is a dice game. If I tap that, remember it's got a motion sensor. If I shake this, you can see it rattles the dice around on that pixel display. Do it again. You can feel the haptic sensor, and it's vibrating in my hand, and I can see the dice again. Now, Loopdot says you can use this with someone else who has the same flashlight. You can actually play a dice game, I think, between flashlights. So there's a lot going on with this pixel display. There's rock, paper, scissors, right? If you want to play rock, paper, scissors, you can see here, this looks like a stopwatch, a clock right there. I think when you pick these, see how it fills up the pixels on the screen, fills them all up. And then if you were to click this, like right here, I'm not sure how it works out in terms of being an actual timer, but like one, if I tap that, you'll watch it just count down 1 dot at a time. See, as it counts down to 1. So that's how that works. This is a game almost like Tetris, right? The dots come down. I guess you try to catch them in here. I'm not sure what this is, but again, it's one of the games you can play on this flashlight. I'm going to double tap, go back up in the menus, back up to the games menu. About a total of 10 games on this flashlight. This is the settings menu right here. And I like this because it gives you, like if I want to make this pixel display lighter or darker, I can do that just by spinning this wheel, right? So I can turn it up brighter, get it really bright. I can turn it back down. I like to keep it on the low setting, preserve the battery, and just pick that option, right? That's your brightness mode there. This one is interesting because it changes the way you rotate this dial. Right now it's set up to increase brightness by turning this knob clockwise. But if I turn it the other way, that means now everything it does clockwise, it does counterclockwise. It reverses the rotation of this wheel. So I can pick if I want it to get brighter going clockwise or do I want it to get brighter going counterclockwise. That's what that setting's all about. Right now I'm going to leave it clockwise. You pick which one you like. This is whether you can shake it and use it or not, I believe. Now this option here, this one here lets you to pick the level of vibration. If I turn it down, there's no vibration. So you can actually turn off the vibration this dial makes, or you can turn it up to the highest level. It does make that sort of haptic feedback that you feel from the vibration. I'm going to keep it on 10 because it doesn't do it very often. It's kind of neat, I think. But that's your different settings. And here I can pick lockout on the screen if I want to. If I select it, it's locked out. If I then tap this button, it'll bring the lock up and then spin it. You can see it slowly unlocks it. There's 2 ways to lock this. I don't want to confuse folks, but there is 2 ways to actually lock this. But anyway, those are the 4 things you're going to see here. The light, the games, the settings, and the lock. All right, and I'm going to quadruple tap this switch again, and it goes back to the regular operation of this flashlight, which is pretty much strictly just a flashlight. Now, when I turn this light on, if I turn it down to its lowest setting, that's a 1 lumen output right there. So if you look there, that's 1 lumen on the floodlight mode, but it has a lower mode. If I turn it off, all right, I've turned the lights down to show you the Moonlight mode. If I press and hold this top button for 2 seconds, you'll see it goes into a sub 1 lumen Moonlight mode. So that's an excellent low output mode. Again, low mode puts out 1 lumen. If I just turn this dial 1 notch, you'll see it goes up to low. That's 1 lumen of output there. So I really like the modes there. That Moonlight mode and the really 1 lumen mode, low output, means this flashlight has some really interesting modes on it. Another great thing about this floodlight, this actually has a CRI, or a color rendering index, of 90. That means this light is excellent for up close. Most flashlights do not have 90 CRI, okay? Even Milwaukee in their TrueView flashlights, it's actually about 85 CRI, all right? So this is actually 90 CRI on this flashlight. That means up close, it's going to give you excellent color rendering. So it's an excellent work light or floodlight on this flashlight. Now this flashlight's available in 7 colors. They have orange, purple, gray, green, blue, 7 colors in total, so you can check that out in the link below. And this light has USB-C charging. You see the port right here on the bottom. I'm going to plug this in. You see it shows the battery's charging there in the front. On the original light, when I plug it in, you'll see that it gives actually sort of a raindrop effect or a matrix effect there. So they behave a little bit differently. That might be a setting you can configure. I don't know. But I thought it was kind of neat on this original flashlight. I'm sure they're trying to make it more intuitive, but I thought it was kind of interesting that this is how the original flashlight shows it's charging. When you're in the normal flashlight mode of this flashlight, if you tap and hold this button on top for more than 2 seconds, you'll see it goes into a lockout. That's how you lock it out in the main flashlight mode of this flashlight. Now to unlock it, I just press and hold this top button down again, and you'll see how this lock starts to change color up to the top, and now it's unlocked. Again, to lock it while it's off, we press and hold that top button. After several seconds, you'll see the lock appears on the front. To unlock it, we press and hold that top button, and you'll see the lock changes colors as we go up, and now it's unlocked. Now to change between the spotlight and floodlight, I can just press and hold this top button, and you'll see it goes over to the floodlight. Now if I just hold it down, it'll alternate and switch back and forth and just keep doing that. So if you hold that button down, it'll keep alternating between these two different lights. And of course, we're going to go back to the floodlight right there. Press it, tap it again, we turn it off. Now we've seen a couple of the cases they have here. They have the magnetic case, they have the clip case. They also have a bike mount case, so you can mount this right to the front of your bike. Again, look at the link in the description below. You can check that out. So I think it's pretty nice that they have a mount that allows you to put this right on the front of a bicycle. But what I'm going to use this flashlight for is just as a standard light. Press the button, the light turns on. There's a quick size comparison to some other clip lights that are available that we've talked about in the channel before. See from the side there, it's pretty nice. Of course, one of the nice things about the O-Light and the Workhos is they both have a red light feature. Of course, that Workhos light, we can just double tap for a red light. So that's a nice feature that you have in these other lights. Same with the O-Clip, they have that wheel on the side. I can just press the button and get a red light there. The red light's nice because it helps you maintain your night vision when you're using this flashlight at night. That's the benefit of the red light. Also works as sort of a safety light. And the magnet on this light is pretty strong, I gotta say. It's definitely stronger than the Workhos. That's really the major thing I'm not crazy about in the Workhos is the magnet just isn't that strong. The O-Light O-Clip does have a strong magnet, actually a really strong magnet on the O-Clip. Magnet's so strong, if you pull this light, the clip will actually kind of pull away. Clip will kind of pull away, maybe snap back. So what I do is just pivot the light off. We also notice on this Loopdot case that the case itself is silicone, but the clip is metal. Now you'll notice with the clips on these flashlights, this Loopdot has the clip in the same location as the O-Clip. You press at the bottom of the flashlights to open the clip up and put them in, right? So you put the Loopdot here in the bag, same way with this O-Clip light, clips in the same way with the light down. Whereas this Workhos light is the opposite. The clip is on the opposite end, we press it, and you see how it works here on the Loopdot, but you press the Workhos and open it up this way. So when we put these lights in, you see the Workhos light actually mounts with clip down and the light up, right? So that's one of the difference there is in these lights. And I do find that in terms of how well these clip lights work on a bag, you can put this O-Light in here, you can press the button here on the side, sort of pinch the light, turn that floodlight on, turn it off, right? With this Workhos light, it's the same way. I can put it in here, I can pinch this light, have the floodlight come on, pinch it to turn it off. Really easy to operate the UI. With the Loopdot, we put this clip in there, and to turn this light on, we have to reach the top of the flashlight, press it to turn it on. A little harder to get to than the Workhos or the O-Clip. But to dim it up and down is very easy on this. With this O-Clip, you clip it on the bag, and you have to reach to the top of the light to press that button to turn it on. Now, it's very easy to turn the brightness up and down. In fact, I'd say it's easier than the Workhos or the O-Clip. I like this dial on the front here. It's perfect for that, to turn it up and down, but not quite as easy to turn on and off as the other lights. Let's quickly look at the floodlights on these lights. There's the O-Light O-Clip floodlight, and you can see it's a warmer light than its spotlight is. But then let's look at the high CRI floodlight on the Loopdot. You can see it's a warmer light. Turn that off for a sec. Now here it is on the Workhos. That's the work light or the area light. See what that looks like. Again, it's a warmer light, but not as warm as the high CRI light that's on this Loopdot light. So I like the improvements that Loop Gear made on this Loopdot flashlight. It does work like a great basic flashlight, which is very important. It's got a great premium feel to it. Almost looks like a smartphone of flashlights. So really impressed with this Loopdot, but we'll have to try it out for a while to see how it does over time in terms of using this as a work light. I do think it is a very interesting light. I really like this dial on here. The fact that you can turn the brightness up and down with this big dial, I think that's a very good user interface. So I'll have a link to this Loopdot in the description below. Let me know in the comments what you think of this Loop Gear Loopdot light. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. And please remember to like and subscribe. All those actions help me to continue to bring content to you here on the Project Pine Hills channel. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.